Hello parents, it's Mrs. Walsh again. I always tell the children that my job is to keep them safe and to help make them clever. None more so than during this global pandemic is that true. What I want to share with you in this video is the useful 8-point guide that Walsall Public Health and Children's Services have put together that will hopefully enable us to keep schools safe and enable them to stay open so that we can teach your children and ensure that they reach their aspirations as they get older. I want to talk to you about several key areas. The first being about managing the risk as you bring and collect your children to school, ensuring that everybody is safe. Secondly, understanding yet again those 3 key COVID symptoms, and also understanding when your child's illness is not a COVID symptom, and managing the risk of phoning school and reporting accurately the symptoms so Mrs. Adams and myself can talk through what you need to do next, ensuring that you seek a test swiftly if need be, and then let school know immediately when you have the result of that test so I can take action. And finally, understanding what you need to do if you get a notification that you have been in close contact with someone who tested positive for COVID. Firstly, I want to talk through with you about managing the risk as you bring and collect children from school. At the back gate, we have 3 year groups entering, which is 270 children. So therefore we've put in staggered times, 9 o'clock for all of year 2 and also for class 1 and class 3 of reception. And then at 9:15, 9:15 for year 1 and then also class 2 of reception. We ask you that you arrive only 5 minutes before your given time so that we can ensure that everybody is socially distancing accurately. As you walk to school, we're asking for you only to walk with your household, because if you imagine, if you walk with a child in another pod, what you're doing there is adding to the risk that you're spreading the virus across 2 class pods. So we're therefore asking for you just to arrive with your household and then line up in single file outside the school gates. Reception to the right and year 1 and year 2 to the left, so that you are equally socially distanced. We also ask parents, out of courtesy, to wear face masks and face coverings as you enter into the playground to collect your children in the evening. We also ask parents to wear them outside the school gates in the morning. Again, this is to manage the risk of spreading the virus. When you enter the playground in the evenings, we ask for you to wait on the spots that have been put on the playground, and you're really doing really well with following the single file system that we've put in place. So thank you for doing that, and please continue doing that until obviously we can all be safe together. Secondly, I want to talk to you about managing the symptoms and recognising those 3 key symptoms of COVID. The first being that temperature of over 37.8. It's really useful at this time if you can buy a thermometer so you can accurately take that reading when you're speaking to myself and Mrs. Adams. Also, secondly, it's that new persistent cough. We know sometimes children do get coughs for other reasons, but this is a new persistent cough. And finally, it's that lack of taste and smell. Those are the 3 key symptoms for COVID. I have had parents who are worried that their child has a runny nose or a sore throat. Those are not COVID symptoms. So if you phone school, we would be recommending that those children can come to school as long as they are feeling well. If your children get one of the 3 COVID symptoms, Mrs. Adams and myself will be talking to you about recognising those symptoms and then managing the risk again by seeking a test, either through the NHS website or by calling 119 for advice. And that number can also offer you translation if you require it. If you're waiting to have the test, your family, all members of the household, have to stay at home and notify any other children's schools that you have a child or indeed a household member who has COVID symptoms. Schools need to know whether it's any household member, not just a pupil of the school. Parents are telling me that usually it's taking at the moment between 24 hours and 48 hours to receive the results of that test. Whilst you're waiting, you're in self-isolation, but then you can phone school once you've received the test result, and it will either be negative or positive, and then Mrs. Adams and myself can talk through the different scenarios there to help you manage that as well. Negative result, it means that we can talk through a little bit more about whether the symptoms are still there that you originally had, or if any other household member has any symptoms. If the answer is no, the children can then come back to school the following day. If the test is positive, it means that you must self-isolate and continue to do so for 14 days. The person with the symptoms, it's 10 days, but every other household member, it is 14 days. Once that isolation period is over, you can contact the school and let us know whether the symptoms are persisting or whether those have now gone, and then we can take further action. It's really important for you to get that test, because I have to, if it's a positive test, notify Public Health Walsall to think about the other children who have been in close contact, if it is indeed a child from the school. I've also had families who have contacted me to say that their children have received letters or texts to say they've been a close contact of someone who has tested positive from outside school. Even in that case, we would need to know that information so that we can advise you accordingly. It would mean that your child would need to self-isolate for 14 days, but other members of the household do not need to do so. I also want to ask all of you to download the NHS COVID-19 Test and Trace app that was released this week, so that we can identify if anyone has been in close contact with anyone. If you do get a text indicating that you've had a close contact with anyone, please let us know so we can talk you through what you need to do next. I understand that there's an awful lot of information. What I can say is that if you phone school and ask to speak to Mrs. Walsh or Mrs. Adams, we are there to help you understand what you need to do. If your child has symptoms, it would be to seek a test. If you just want to talk through the symptoms your children have, we can then discuss the way forward. If you then have to take a test, we can then help you understand what to do if the test is negative or positive. So please, please, please use the school and use myself and Mrs. Adams so that we can help you understand what to do. Finally, I just want to say how fantastic the children have been since they've returned to school. The smiles on their faces as they play with their friends, the joy that they're having from learning is really, really special. So let's all work together to ensure that our children can continue to become clever.